Well, hi, my friends. This is Jay, and I'm back. I am back with Jay's Knit-Along. This is my first Knit-Along for 2021, and it's sweater style number 1. Now, if you are just finding me or you're new, there's an intro video that I did just before this, and I will put a link down because you need to watch that to get all the information. Now, if you have knit with me before, which a lot of, my followers have, you've made sweaters, you should have numbers or you have gone through the process to find numbers like I've shared with you. If you're really new to my system or to my channel about knitting sweaters, I will give another link for a sweater that you might give a try or listen to first than this one. All right, on this sweater, this is sweater style number 1. This is bottom up. I will have 4 styles eventually. This is 1 bottom up, then we'll eventually do top down again. Then there's one where I do the back and then 2 fronts, 3 different pieces. And then my favorite is working from the back up, separating the neck and coming down each front. That's one of my favorites. All right, now, for those that have worked with me, you should have, like I said, you should have numbers now, or you understand the system. Look on the information sheet that came up before this. I give a chart help and working formulas. This is just a help, a suggestion. So look at those numbers and see if they're anything close to what you came to or if you fit around any of the numbers. But the basic thing is the number, that your basic number should be a number divisible by 4 because we are designing and making this sweater from scratch, and I like compatible numbers. And then plus, by rounding up to a number divisible by 4 from the first, the intro to video, it gives you a little positive ease. Not sloppy, but just a little positive ease. So look at those numbers and just see if like, oh yeah, I kind of fit close to that, Jay, or I might just, but you got small to medium, the back would be 88 stitches. And then you see what happens when you separate it. Then large to 1X, that's me, I'm in the middle. I start with 96 stitches. That's my basic number. This is for a US number 9. You have to listen to the first video and then work with, if you want a different yarn and different needles. Then 2X to 3X, I estimated, or the math came out to be about 104 stitches. So that's the basic number. Now, after all that is done, and you're comfortable and you're ready to go, you have your yarn, you've checked everything, recounted everything, we're going to start with at the bottom of the sweater, because this is going to be knit bottom up. We're going to start with a 1x1 ribbing. And on the 1x1 ribbing, when we're knitting flat, we're not knitting this sweater in the round, it's just back and forth, back and forth. I like to work with an odd number, so I add 1 more number to my stitch count. So for me, 192 stitches I cast on, then I'll cast on 1 extra stitch to make it 193. And you'll see why when we get ready to do our ribbing. Now, on the first video, I told you that was kind of like my prototype I was trying to design. That's what we're doing. There's no written pattern. I'm not writing this pattern up. I don't get permission to write my patterns up. I share my designs strictly here on my YouTube channel. You are welcome to work them, share them, do whatever, but I don't, I don't give out written patterns. It's here because I can show you better than I can tell you. What do you think of that? Look, I just lost my voice. All right, so let's get started. Let's get started. First of all, I want to show you this from that first video, the intro video. You notice, oh, Jay, you changed a little bit. Well, because we're going to be working from charts some this year. And I realized, well, first of all, that sweater I couldn't even remember some of the stuff I'd done. I made it a little too hard. I was knitting it for myself, and I was throwing in little different things, even though it was very plain, but I had a lot of different things going. So I just started, like I said, when you're designing, sometimes you have to have more than one started, people. That's just the way it goes. So on this one, I decided I'm going to show you some little things that you, not only are we going to read charts, but I'm going to show you how to get the best use out of a chart. You know, as you're learning and as you're getting used to working with charts, knitting charts. All right, so that's the new front right there. So the next thing I want to do is go ahead and get my sample yarn and then walk you through how to set up. All right, be back in just a minute. All right, you're going to need a few markers, and I'm giving you, I don't know, I'll make sure that I put it on the sheet. This is the sample that I'll use, and I'm going to challenge you too, for those that maybe are not quite ready to, or just not able at this time to do the whole sweater. You can use this sample and make a beautiful neck warmer or scarf. So I will make sure that this, the numbers I use here are included on that sheet that you see in front. But as you can see, and look, Jay's on metal needle. I got so many samples, people going, I don't know what's going on with my mojo. My mojo's just got samples everywhere, so I had to grab up these. This is fine just to demonstrate, but you know I normally use the bamboo only because I'm older and it keeps me from cramping and it's lightweight, and if you got arthritis or any kind of problem, just a suggestion, you use whatever you want to use. So all right, so here we go. I have cast on for this sample. This is just a simple little sample that we're going to work with. Let's see how many stitches did I cast on. Oh, I cast on 51 stitches. 51 stitches. And I didn't have to add an extra stitch because it's an odd number. I just need an odd number to do my ribbing. Now you're working, if you're going to either work this sample with me, you know, or get started on that, you can do that. Or if you've worked with me before and you're ready to get on with your sweater, you're going to cast on your cast on number for your sweater. Okay. From either the formulas that I gave, or the numbers that I gave, or your number, but as long as that number is divisible by 4 and you've added 1 extra stitch. So now here we go. You need some markers. Everyone, everywhere. When you look at this sample, okay, when I cast on, I automatically, because like I say, I didn't learn in a yarn shop, I just had to try to persevere. I call this a wrong side row because it had all the little purl bumps. So in order, this is a wrong side, so when we finish this row and turn, it's the right side. And I have worked it that way forever and ever, and every time it turns out beautiful. Every time, every time. So, but now on your long row, everyone, everywhere, every size, we're going to knit the first 3 stitches. Just knit 1, 2, 3. I needed to do this to keep it from rolling. Alright, now we start the ribbing. This was just a little border that I put on. Now we actually start the ribbing. So I'm going to bring my yarn in front because this is a wrong side row. I want to start with a purl one. So I purl, then yarn in back, and then I knit, and yarn in front, purl, knit, yarn in front, purl, back, knit. And if you get distracted and you lose your place or something goes haywire, back up a few stitches and go knit, purl, knit, purl, knit. Yeah, that will tell you where the next stitch should. Then if that's a knit stitch, then I need to bring the yarn in front and purl. Alright, now you're going to work across, because like I said, this is the sample. You're going to work across all the way, and I will join back with you as you get near the other end, because we need to put I'm going to show you how to turn and everything, but we need to put this little border on. All right, back in just a minute. All right, I'm coming up to the end of my first row, and let's see if I get distracted. Go back and go knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. So I need a knit stitch, then purl. I see I got to watch for those last 3 stitches. Purl, 1, 2, 3. All right, now the most important thing is, remember back here after the 3 stitches, when I started, since it's a wrong side, with a purl stitch. So that's what I want to end with before. So let's see. Knit, purl, yarn in back now, knit, and yarn in front, I purl. I ended this row, or before the border, just like I started. I had 3 stitches, and then I did a purl stitch. Now watch, yarn in back, because this is the border, everyone, everywhere. You knit these 3 stitches on every row. So 1, 2, 3. This is just to keep it from rolling. And it makes a nice little starter edge. Alright, so now this is what I have on my little sample. You see that? Now, before we turn, look at the, just a reminder, normally we put a contrasting yarn, but there's not much space. So look, can you see all these little bumps? So this is the wrong side of this ribbing. When I turn the work to go to the right side, look at the bottom edge so that you can just kind of get used to looking at it and seeing how it just kind of flows. This is the right side. Now watch, when I go back up to the front to work this row that I'm the right side. Okay, something's hitting my camera here. Alright, I have the 3 edge stitches, 1, 2, 3. I want to knit on every row, everyone, everywhere. So 1, 2, and 3. Now watch. The first stitch on the right side should be a knit stitch, and that's exactly what it is. That's why I work it this way. So now I knit 1, and then the next stitch is purl. So now you just start stacking knits on knits, purls on top of purls, so that we can have the 1 by 1 ribbing. Just like this. Now you can just read the stitches. You can just see that that's a purl, so I do a purl. The next one is a knit, so I do a knit. That's why, just if you still relatively new, take your time on that first wrong side row to get everything right, because you're going to be building on those stitches. And if you put 2 purls together, 2 knits together, then oops, Jay, I got a problem. Something didn't come out right. Okay, so now if you get lost, you can just look down there and read the stitches. Alright, now, I think I'm hitting the camera. I think that's the problem. I keep hearing something. Okay, let me move my arm. Alright, so now that's what I'm working now. And of course, when I get to this end, I will work those stitches, the 3 border stitches I knit on every row. Does that make sense? Now let's talk for a minute. Alright, so now we have started, and you may be working on your long, on the sweater. So you have a nice long row of stitches to work. But I'm going to give you a suggestion, and I hope you listen to Jay, because I have taught myself so much. I used to just work myself into the ground sometimes until I started trying to learn how to work smarter, not harder. Now, it doesn't always happen, but I do my best to work smarter, not harder. I suggest that everyone, everywhere, not only do you do your sweater, go ahead and do this little sample on another set of needles. This is why I suggest having, more than one set. Have other needles to work with. So that once we start, so in other words, you will work your ribbing. I think you have ribbing down. Most knitters, you're fine with the ribbing. I'm just showing you how I set it up. But you're going to rib for at least 6 or 7 rows. Now listen, I'm short. So anyone taller than me, which most people are, you automatically know that, okay, if she did 6, I got to go 7, 8, or 9, or whatever it is. I'm going to start shortcutting things. Instead of just telling you how many rows, you're going to be able to just decide on your own. The only thing you need to do is just be on the right side row when we're ready to go to the next section. Does that make sense? So if I do 6 rows, but you're taller, anybody's taller than me, 5'5", 5'7", 5'9", whatever it is, you're going to say, okay, I got to maybe go 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever. Just like I said. And then stop on a right side row, and then that way we'll be on the same page. Then I would go to this, a sample, and I'm going to tell you why. We're going to be working charts this year. Charts there, and we're going to try to keep you away from the written word, the written pattern, so that you get familiar, like saying, get comfortable with reading and working from charts. If you make a mistake, which we do, on my sweater, you just saw the blue sweater, I have knit that thing, I don't know how many times, I got off 1 stitch. Oh, while I was working. But I got it back, and I had to pull out. So if you make a mistake on your sweater and you don't have, when we start the charts, we're going to start on this. You're going to start on this sample. I'll just pull the chart out here just so that you can see. I won't put the chart on this tape. It's too involved. But here's the chart that we're working from Wendy Bernard's stitch book. And it's very nice, has a lot of yarn overs. So if you make a mistake on your sweater, you're going to have to pull back a whole lot of stitches. You understand? You'll have to pull back like, oh, Jay, I missed, but when we start working the chart, we're going to do the chart here, row 1 on here, then we'll go to our sweater. We'll do row 3, or whatever the rows are, what has pattern, then we'll go to the sweater. So you'll be used to it, and you will be able to understand, like I said, because I'm not going to put the extra printed pattern out. I'm going to put it on a new information sheet for those that I just have to have something, instead of the chart. But when we're actually working it on the tutorial, I'm going to leave off the words at the bottom, the rows, and we're going to work from the chart. It's going to be fun, but I'm trying to show you how to work smarter. And then when you're done, not only will you have the bottom of your sweater done and ready for the next section, but then you'll have this part too, and just keep working it. And then eventually when everything's done, you will have this nice piece. Keep it for yourself, give it to someone. If you made a mistake, get some big buttons. Get some pretty buttons and pop them on there. Make it part of the decoration. They'll never know. Don't tell them. They'll never know. All right. So I'm going to work this back and forth till I have at least 6 rows, or wherever I want to stop, wherever you want to stop. Just make sure it's the right side row, and I'll come back and tell you the next little part. And then I'm not going to do the chart on this. It's too involved. This will be the end of step 1. So I will be back shortly after I work my rows, just so that you can see what it looks like. Back in just a moment. All right, I'm back, and I did some work off camera, so let me show you exactly what I have done, and then you will be able to do the same thing, and then we'll be in the same place. All right, first of all, I finished my ribbing. I'm short, so I did 6 rows. Everyone's tall, and if you're over 5 feet, I'm under 5 feet, so if you're over 5 feet, you just add a couple of extra rows for, how tall you are. So instead of 6, maybe you do 6, 7, 8, or 9, 10, okay? So I'm going to let you start choosing or picking out, you're making decisions when you're doing your sweater. As long as you keep the 3 stitches on each end, you knit on every row. All right, now everyone, everywhere, every size, the next thing I want to do, after you decide how wide you want your ribbing, okay, then I want you to simply on the front side, and you know the front side now because you know how to recognize the bottom and the back. I want you to simply knit the border and then knit all the way across all the stitches, because we have knits and purls and all of that, so that cleans up. So that this is for everyone everywhere. I want you to knit a row, that's one, then purl back, then knit a row again, and then purl back. All right, now I'm getting ready to knit one more row, and this is a row that we're going to put the markers in right now. So really it's like knitting 6 rows again for me. So have some small markers out, and then of course I'm going to show you where to put the markers in your sweater. On this sample, and we'll just knit and put them in, so I'll just do that. On this sample, we will put markers, everyone, it doesn't matter what size you are. This is a panel that the diamond shape, off the chart is a diamond shaped panel. So I don't have to center anything. I just decide where I want it. So this is where I decided where to put it. Okay, I'm going to work the first 12 stitches and put a marker. So let me show you how it's going to look. We're just knitting now. That's all. We haven't started the chart or anything. But I do have to stay with my edge stitch. I knit the first 3. 1, 2, 3. And instead of putting a marker there, I'm going to continue to knit on till I have a total of 12 stitches. So I'm just knitting. And then I'll put markers in, because I waited to the last minute or in a rush trying to get the tutorial ready, and I was off 1 stitch. But if I had put my markers in right here, I would not have had that problem, because I would have taken time to check and count again. I need 12 stitches. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, one more. Always count twice. Let's go. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Everyone everywhere needs 12 stitches. I put in a marker. Alright, now I need a little separation, so what you'd call filler stitches, or just stitches just to kind of fill in the space. Everyone everywhere, fill in with 5 stitches. So 1, 2, that's 3, 4, and 5. Stop, check it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I put in a different color marker, perhaps. Let's see, what do I have? Okay, yeah, I have a red, so I'll put my red in. Now, everyone everywhere, this is where our chart pattern, the diamond, will go. You need 17 stitches. So let's just knit across, and we will stop and count and make sure that we have 17. That's all we're interested in getting in here right now. These markers. And once we start the chart, your your count will be accurate, and you won't have the problem like Jay had. It was late, I was tired, I had to read, I didn't work smarter, I was working harder. Alright, let me stop and count. Everyone needs 17 stitches. That don't look like 17. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17. Now, count. I'll count twice. Go make sure. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 1 is 17. I have my 17 stitches. I'm going to put the matching marker, so I know between my 2 red markers is where my chart pattern, the diamond stitch, will go. Now, guess what? Well, on this sample you have to, alright, look, on this sample, because it's small, now I've got to repeat the markers on this side. So after that marker, how many do I need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make sure. Count take your time and 1, 2, 3, that's 4 and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I try to put the same marker if I can. Then I should have 12 left. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Count it again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Voila. And then I just knit off. Just like this. And of course the last 3 are knit on every row anyway, so I just knit on across those 2. Now, this is what you have just on the sample. When I turn the work, I will be on the wrong side, and of course I will start with knit 3 and then purl all the way back and to the last 3, knit 3. When we turn the work, we will be ready to start working our chart. It won't be on this tape because you've got a lot of work to do. Now let me show you how it looks on the sweater, because that's what you need to see. All right, let me just move all of this, and then I'll put this over here. Here's the sweater, because it's much longer, and I may not have gone up the same number of rows, which I was sorry, but hey, knit happens. And make sure that I'm on camera. Hold on. Check it. See if you can see. Yep, that's good. All right, so now here are my markers, just so that you can get an idea. This is why I want you to do it before we actually start the pattern, because it's so easy to get distracted. And if you get one stitch off like I did, oh man. All right, so we know we had the 3 stitches here, so there are 12 stitches total, including these 3. So just like on the sample, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Put a marker on your sweater. You're down here. This is before we start the pattern. Then everywhere, every size, you get 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to put a marker. Count everything twice. Moving right along, sliding over. Now we have in between here, we need 17 stitches to do this this design. So you count. So it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and 1 is 17 right there. You count it again. Then you put the end marker. We're not worried about the side seam or anything like that, or the sleeves, because we have to work up to that. So all we're concerned with now is to reproduce this on the opposite side of the sweater. And this is what I want to show you. When you start counting on this side, do not start counting somewhere in here. And let me make sure I'm on this side. And I'll tell you why. Because how many of you remember when we were doing the 1x1 ribbon, we put in an extra stitch on this whole, in our whole count, remember? After you cast on, I said, now add 1 extra stitch. Well, some of you may have forgotten that, and you may have that stitch over here. When I get ready to separate the fronts from the back, I will always leave the extra stitch in the back. I will count the appropriate number of stitches for each front, and we'll separate, we'll put a mark, so we'll know where the center, the side, the seam, right up under the arm, and then the back will have 1 extra stitch in it. You can take it out. I usually just let it ride because I may need it for something. All right, so on this side, if you're left-handed, you're doing just the opposite, I guess. This side, you have to get some markers that you can place hold, because we haven't knitted this side yet. So this is when you might want to get some of these little locking markers like that. You might want some of these. What you're going to do, you start here and you count 2, 4, 6, I can't see the stitches. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Then you'd put one of these little these markers here as a placeholder till we start knitting. Count it again. Be sure to count this side and start from this edge. Never start from in here. You will throw your stitches off in case there are extra stitches, or maybe just something went wrong and the stitches, because it's the back, we don't care. The back is fine. It's the two fronts you have to make equal. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Marker. Then 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I'd put one of these markers that I can lock in place to hold my place. It's just holding in place until I get there. Then I'm going to count the 17, starting here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Oops, I better count again. Let's see. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Well, I only have 16. I'm supposed to have 17. Where's my other stitch? Well, I got the pattern in here. 2. Let's see if we yarn over is underneath. 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. All right, so now I have to check. Well, it has to be 17 because I had 17 over here. So that is a mystery. I will have to check and see if I've dropped a yarn over somewhere. See, and it happens, people. This is why you have to just double check and count twice. 2. Make sure it's not hidden under there. Sometimes the yarn overs get stuck. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Well, I'll have to check. I guess I'll be working off camera again. But you should have 17. And then we don't have to count the back. So does that make sense? You'd put a marker here to stop where the 17 is supposed to be. And I got to check and see what yarn over I have dropped off. Most likely it's a yarn over somewhere. I've been up all night. I've been up late night. Okay, but does that make sense? Start from this side counting back, and then once we start actually knitting, of course you're down here, so you don't have the mistake that I just made, the less number, whatever I dropped a yarn over. You're down here, but once we start the pattern and start knitting across, all the markers are in place, and you just knit across the back. We're not worried about the back and separating yet. We've got a good ways to go. And then, but when you start the count, it's better to start from this end than starting anywhere in here where there may be extra stitches. Oh, that was a mouthful. Now I got to figure out where I fell asleep. Look, Jay fell asleep at the wheel. I was up to like 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay, I promise I'll find it. All right, so now this is going to end step 1 of this sweater style number 1. All right, when I come back for step 2, we will be ready to work. I'm going to tell you some things about the chart. We'll go up. Let's see, let me just kind of prepare to get you excited. We will be working from this chart from Wendy Bernard's book. As I've said before, my son said he would put it up, put a picture of it up so that it will be on the screen, and I won't have words at I won't have the rows. I'm just going to work it row by row. And then we're going to discuss, we're going to go over what the symbols, we're just going to talk a little bit to get you familiar with the chart, and then we start to work. Does that sound fun? Look, does that sound fun? I'm trying to help myself. You're going to enjoy it. I promise. We'll just take our time. We're not in a race, people. This is something special. This is step-by-step visual knitting. These are visual tutorials taking you, actually showing you and trying to make things make sense, because we are knitting this from scratch. And I want you to be able to simply take simple stitch. I'm not trying to be big a big knitter or fancy stuff. I just want to be able to knit a sweater if I want one. And I want you to be able to knit one too. So now this is Jay, and of course I'm going to find my lost stitch, and then I will see you back in step 2.